To begin, I'd like to say welcome to our very first town hall meeting. I'd like to introduce a very special person. His name is Tony Briggs. He's our interim CEO for the Pacific Island region. Prior to being the interim, Tony was serving as the CEO in the Central California region and has been leading us since the beginning of May. Tony has spent time in our region during the Maui wildfire response, as well as in Guam during Tropical Storm Mawar. Tony, would you like to come on camera?
Well, hello everyone. Thanks, Jay, for that beautiful segue into my portion of it. First of all, thank you everyone for being here. It is so important for us to get together. It's important for us to share in our wins. And once a quarter, we're going to do just that. So this town hall is a way for us to make sure that we all know what we're doing, what everyone else is doing throughout the entire region, and for us to celebrate each other because that's really, really important. We usually see all of these people on a call when it's something bad happening or when we have a disaster, but it really is important for us to take the time to smell the roses, to cheer each other on, and to celebrate our successes. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about where we are, we're going to talk about where we're going, and we're going to have fun along the way. So if everyone is in agreement, we'll go ahead and roll into the next slide. So here's some of our FY24 regional stats, and I want to read some of them because they're really important. Our region responded to more than 120 disasters in our region, and those disasters can be anything from a flooding event to a house fire, all the way up to a Category 7 response. Um, our teams have installed more than 1,500 smoke alarms. We've trained more than 22,000 people in first aid, CPR, and AED skills. And this number right here is amazing. 9,900 case services to members of our military, our veterans, and their families. Big numbers. And we made more than 530 homes safer from fires. So that is just the tip of the iceberg. We could go on for 2 or 3 hours talking about all of the great work done by Red Crossers here in the PIR. And because we don't have that much time, I figured we just talk about these top lines. And really what you can do is you can look at these and you can watch the recording later. And when you talk to your friends and they say, well, what do you do at the Red Cross? You can tell them that no matter what it is that you are doing, you are a part of these successes. So it doesn't matter what your gap is. It doesn't matter what your role is. If you were part of this team, you helped in making these numbers happen for our neighbors. Being there for our neighbors when we're needed is something that we're just proud of. And I couldn't be more proud of this region looking at these numbers and knowing the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. And I will tell you that there probably were days where you were wondering, what did I get myself into? Oh my goodness, there's a lot to go on here. Or when you looked at that first number for the goals for the year and you said, how are we going to get there? And what we did was we put our heads down, we put our heads together, we rolled up our sleeves, we jumped in with our hearts first, and we got the work done. So congratulations to everyone who helped make these numbers just off the chart. So thank you. And I can see the applause, which is fantastic. That is great. Okay, Matthew, next slide, please. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the Maui wildfire response. You know, it's been a long response, and I can't say more great things than what has already been said. But I think we just need to think about this for a minute. More than 300 days we were responding in Maui. We're still responding through our long-term recovery work, which helps the folks who were affected by the fire get services by partners, get services by government partners, nonprofit partners, and we're still there in Maui. So I just wanted to take that time to one, thank our responders who were on the ground. I know we've said it throughout the year, but we need to make sure that we take this time, one, to remember the lives lost, but also to think about the work that the folks who were on the ground when they were all alone and they had to figure it all out until the cavalry came, they got it done. and they had to pivot, and they had to move, and they had to do what we call semper gumby, which is always flexible. So we just wanted to take the time to say thank you. And when you think about some of the work that we did, you think about this for a second. We had 8,000 people that we were helping shelter. We served more than 1.5 million meals, and we had 1.49 million overnight stays. So just think about that. With the amount of folks that we had here and the people that came from all over the mainland and from our neighbor islands and from the territories, we got it done. And we got it done in such a way that we should be proud of the work that we've done. I know that we have the 1 year anniversary coming up soon, and some of us will be participating in remembrances and talking about our experiences. And really, what I'd like everyone to understand is that, this goes back to the community. The community was destroyed, but it's going to take an entire community to put it all back together. And we are proud to be part of that community. We were here before it started. We've been here during the response, and we'll be here long after. So thank you so very much to everyone for that. As we roll into the long-term recovery, we have partners from the Red Cross who are assigned to long-term recovery. They will be helping those families to make sure that they continue to get the services they need. And I will tell you that I was on a call with Brad Kaiserman last week as they turned the DRO back to the region. What they asked is they said, hey, PIR, do you have everything that you need? We've come in, we've tried to help, we've tried to make sure that everyone was taken care of. Hopefully we didn't hurt any feelings, and if we did, we're really sorry. But we made sure that, the organization spent $500 million to make sure that we did all the right things. And we can be proud in knowing that as we've received the work back to the region, because remember, every single disaster starts and ends locally, no matter how big it gets. And now that it's getting to the phase where we talk about long-term recovery, it's now in our hands. And we feel in a good position that we can help families going forward. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all the work that you've done. So with that, I want to make sure that I'm doing my notes. And I think we're at the point where we can start to talk about the territories and
Yes.
the lines of service. So
Yes.
next slide, please.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Hmm.
Now I'd like to call on the territories to share their 3 achievements in FY23. I'd like to call on Molly Schmidt. She's our Chief Operating Officer for the American Red Cross, and she will be doing the report on American Samoa. Um, Molly, would you like to come on camera?
Good evening. Thank you, Jaylene. Thank you,
Sure.
Tony. Aloha,
Next slide.
talofa, and half a day to everybody here. I have the pleasure of presenting on behalf of our amazing, mighty American Samoa team. Leilani and Lapea are on island there and doing a fabulous job. Team of two, but mighty and strong. So they have been working really hard. Their successes over the past year really coalesce into two main things. One is capacity building. They are working with the community, with the volunteers to build capacity around their disaster response, their disaster preparedness, their smoke alarm installations, volunteer recruitment, their youth clubs, service to the armed forces. And it's an amazing office. It's an amazing community. And we're so fortunate to have them there and serving our community and back to our Red Cross roots and our mission. One highlight was particularly around the Flag Day celebration that happened in April, where they had 22 youth volunteers in the parade and as part of the as part of the American Red Cross Flag Day celebrations there. So really great team. And that's our America Samoa team.
Thank you so much, Molly. Next, I'd like to call Cheetah Blaze. She's the Executive Director for the Guam chapter. Cheetah, would you like to come on camera?
All right. So it is an honor for me to be with the American Red Cross for the last 25 years, really. And of course, I'm working with somebody here at the chapter who's been here longer than I have been, and that is Sandra Ramiro. She's our COO. So Sandy keeps me in line. So she's the one who tells me you can't do that. Anyway, so we are very proud to first have received that generous donation from Atkins Scroll for a brand new 2024 Toyota pickup truck, because one of our uh, pickup trucks was destroyed during Mauer. It was totaled. So it came in very handy when I was informed that I was to get a brand new pickup truck to replace the ruined one. So there you go. So American Red Cross and Atkins Scroll, I've had a long-standing relationship. So they celebrated their 110th anniversary a couple of months ago, while the Red Cross Guam chapter is celebrating its 107th in October. So we're kind of like behind each other. And the other thing that we are very proud of, finally, to have a really refreshed brand, not brand new, but to us it's almost brand new, a Guam chapter facility. We have a beautiful conference table that we just received recently, and we have never had a conference table all our lives. So it really is a treat to suddenly have all of this luxury. We're not used to it. And okay, what else did I have? I think those are the three things that I have on my screen.
Yes,
And
that is.
yeah, so should I stop now because I could go
Yes.
on?
Thank you so much, Cheetah.
All
Appreciate
righty,
that. Great
okay.
report.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, next up, I'd like to call John Hirsch. He's the Executive Director for Northern Marianas Islands. John?
All right, Hafa Day and Tirawami from Saipan. It's great to be here. I'm being joined, of course, by my awesome team of JD Tenorio, our disaster program manager, and Samalin Taitano, our business ops person. This was a very busy year for us, but three of the big highlights were, first of all, this was the 80th commemoration of World War II this past year. So there were a lot of very important commemorations of that event. As I think people may know, this was actually a Japanese territory before World War II. So the Red Cross was involved in that. We had volunteers that were out here in Saipan in 1945, right after the war. So that's pretty impressive. We also participated, as we do every year, in our 4th of July parade. We had a lot of fun. We were one of, I don't know, maybe 150 different floats and cars and stuff that went down the main thoroughfare here in Saipan up to where the reviewing stand, where with I think the admiral from Guam was over and our governor. Definitely a lot of great exposure for the Red Cross, and I know people appreciated, seeing us out. More recently, JD coordinated with Renice and Nikki, two of our senior, well, of course, our disaster program director in Hawaii, that came down to Saipan and did some in-service training for us. We've got 4 new instructors, disaster instructors on board. That's really going to help build our capacity, not only for onboarding more volunteers and getting them gapped on Saipan, Rota, and Tinian. So that's super nice. And then finally, we had just a really special walkathon this year. It was our 35th annual, and we changed the venue for the first time in about 30 years due to some road closures and where we typically do it. So we went up to American Memorial Park, and we had 2,500 people participate, mostly students, on Saipan, Rota, and Tinian all at the same time. And it was a 5 and 10K event. They walked, and we had lots and lots of great big community fair with face painting, and I think there's one picture there that shows some of the fun stuff that was going on. So definitely an exciting year, lots of great transition, and that's it from the Northern Mariana Islands. Jaylene, you there?
Sorry, I was talking to myself. Thank you so much, John, and thank you for the lines of service. Thank you for the territory reports. Now I'd like to go to the lines of service, also known as department reports. So first up is our Disaster Cycle Services Department, and Tony will be giving this report on behalf of our Regional Disaster Officer, Renee Spain.
Thank you so much. Super
Welcome.
proud of the work that DCS has done. They excelled in their youth and CPEP programs. The numbers were off the chart. And for regional readiness, we've actually grown our pool of volunteer basic instructors, which is great because if we can continue to grow our own, it's a lot better for us than having to fly people in from the mainland, which incurs a cost. And it's really good for us when we can basically say, hey, we're good on our own. We can continue to grow our own without having to bring more people in. We're doing fantastic in our supply readiness. And what Renice has really been focused on is making sure that we all understand that presence is a mission in the community. So we are amping up the opportunities that we're given, and we're starting to take more invites from communities to staff tables. We're trying to make sure that people see the Red Cross in the community, because the more they can see us in the community, when something happens, the community knows to come rally around the Red Cross because they've seen us out there doing the work. So we've also improved our volunteer engagement. This past year, we engaged almost 300 more volunteers, which is fantastic. And I understand with everything that we had with the back-to-back major level 7s, a lot of people have come out from being event-based volunteers to actually getting plugged in and being full-fledged volunteers, and that is always a good thing. So congratulations to everyone from Disaster Services. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jaylene.
Thank you so much, Tony. All right, next I'd like to call upon Julie Greenlee. She's our Director of Service to the Armed Forces and International Services. Julie?
Hi, thank you. I first apologize that I have my camera off because I'm a little under the weather, and trust me, you don't want to see me right now. So over the past fiscal year, we now have partners and a presence where we didn't before. There's a brand new facility, a Veterans Affairs Clinic in Kapolei. We have a wonderful volunteer that goes and sets up an information table there once a week. And as a result of the Maui wildfires, we now have a table at the VA clinic in Maui. We have two wonderful volunteers who set up a table there twice a week. And then in Guam, the VA there, we have a really unique project. It's a 6-month project called Operation Never Forgotten, where our Guam volunteers go and every Saturday morning they do graveyard beautification, like crypt painting. We also expanded our volunteer opportunities. So pictured here is our Fun with Flowers event. So Watanabe Floral gave us a donation, and our volunteers made flower arrangements, and then all of the arrangements went to the VA nursing home. And then we have other unique opportunities that we didn't have before, like our monthly gardening at the VA Community Living Center. And then the last point there is just that we utilize our volunteer talents. So we have volunteers that love to do crafts, so now we have interesting giveaways at our info tables. And we have several yoga instructors that use their talents at the hospital, the Tripler Hospital and the VA. That's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julie. Please get better. Next up, I'd like to welcome and call upon Whitney Thomas. She's the Regional Chief Development Officer, and she's going to give the Financial Development Report. Whitney?
Yeah, thanks, Jaylene. Hi, everyone. So wanted to share with you from our fund development team that in FY24, we raised $10,223,640, which meant we are 117% to our regional goal. And if you saw this number at the beginning of the fiscal year, our target was about 3.7 million. And over the course of the year, it kept climbing and climbing and climbing to over 9 million. So really grateful for all of my team, for all of you, for our EDs who all contribute to making this possible. Those of you who help us fill out the grant forms about preparedness and how many disaster responses and how many volunteers, all of that contributes to us being able to raise funds from our donors. We also saw some really great success with cause marketing growth this year. So if you think of T-shirt sales, where we get a percentage of the profit on T-shirt sales, register roundups, things like that. So from Foodland, Crazy Shirts, and Maui Divers. We also, I think Ms. Cheetah already shared the Guam Tacoma, but that really cool truck, that was Ms. Cheetah and the Guam team. John and the NMI team also got a Homeland Security grant for a new generator. And then we're still working through our American Samoa ARPA grant. So lots of large gifts from all across our region that made that possible. And then also wanted to highlight that we leveraged 764 volunteer hours to support the mission. And those of you in other lines of service that have thousands and thousands of hours, this number may feel small to you, but we have a small but mighty, about 5-person volunteer team. So we're really grateful that they're willing to put in all of those hours and help our small but mighty fund development team. Thanks, Jaylene.
Thank you so much, Whitney. So I didn't get to introduce myself. I'm Jaylene. I'm the Regional Volunteer Services Officer for the Volunteer Services Department and for the regional, for our region. We in Volunteer Services are most proud of the number of volunteers we were able to onboard for our departments to support the Red Cross mission. Typically, we onboard a few hundreds a year. This year in FY23, we onboarded over 7,000 volunteers, and very, very proud of our staff and our volunteers for all of the work they've done. We continue to support the Maui wildfire disaster relief operation from August of last year to July. And we celebrated our region's diversity through the cookbook that we're going to be distributing. We collected recipes and pictures and learned about each other's cultures. So that was what we were most proud of this year. Thank you so much. And next, I'd like to call on Matthew Wells, our Communications Director, who is running our PowerPoint for us. Matthew? Oops, sorry, operations out of, oh, there we go. There you go, communications.
All right, I will jump in on this one.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. All right, so to put it as a gross understatement, it's been a little bit of a busy year. Now, what this has meant for communications is that there is no shortage of stories to tell. And what exactly it is that we are doing is working to get our name out there. It's surprising how often we can talk about the services that we provide, whether that is to our folks in the military in our community, whether it is for an everyday house fire, whether it is something major like Typhoon Mawar or the Maui wildfires. And there is inevitably a group of people that will hear about this and say, "You do that?" So we really, really took this opportunity to tell our story as loudly and as widely as we could. And this past year, we received over 15,000 media mentions, and that is 588% of our annual goal as far as what we were looking to accomplish. And it is the other side of no one wants a disaster, but if we can use that to further the message, if one has to happen, we want to make sure that we can inspire some people, and that's really what we're looking to do. the more information that comes to communications, the more people are going to hear about the incredible work of our team. And that will then inspire people to give more, to donate their own time, to come out there and really be a part of the response operation and our mission overall. With two massive level 7 disasters like we've seen, the role of communications really took on a really interesting bend this time. A lot of the times it is very much what are you doing? Are we out there? And what we wanted to emphasize this time was we want to get out in front of anything that was a misinformation or a disinformation. Now, things like that can spread sometimes maliciously, sometimes completely by accident, just because a lot of people out there who might be a YouTuber that's known for doing videos about these are the top 10 food items that you've got to try when you're in Lahaina. And suddenly they find themselves in a role where they have a built-in audience. They're trying to use that. Suddenly they're in a crash course of journalism. So a lot of what we did as external relations during this time was to go out into the community and find these new journalists and kind of show them the ropes and be an ally to them and basically show that this is how we fit into the community, this is how you fit into the community, and this is how we can work together. Being forced to slow down during these moments and really learn local culture, I think has had an impact on the Red Cross as an entire organization. Whenever it is that people from the continent came out here and they would get that introduction video and then they would come out and meet the people and sit with them, it was something that genuinely everybody was here. It touched them and they latched onto it and they started to really understand. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And I like to think that communications helped with that a little bit. We had a very strong increase in internal storytelling as well. We've been getting pictures, we've been getting write-ups, and I want to make sure that that rolls on. As we look ahead into FY25, I want to make sure that we are spotlighting everybody that we can. So this is an open invitation to everybody who's watching this. If you want to be a part of honoring someone, if you want to be to try your hand at writing a piece, taking a couple pictures, whatever that might be. We would love to hear from you. It is perfect to boost our voice in both the local media and on national platforms because everybody is hungry for more. And that's what we're here to feed, is to tell that story, because that's what each and every one of us are. We are the story of the Red Cross. And I'd like to share that. And that's what communications has been doing. Back to you, Jalen.
Thank you so much, Matthew. All right, and last but not least, I'd like to call on Molly, our COO, to talk about operations. Molly?
Hi there again. Operations is the backbone. We are the team that keep the lights on, literally. We steward the fleet and facility, amongst other things, across the region, and 2024 was an exciting year for operations and logistics. We have a regional budget that covers the Hawaii State Chapter, Guam Chapter, NMI chapter, America Samoa region, and it's about a $3.7 million regional budget. So we have a lot of responsibility. Overall, there's 32 full-time staff, countless volunteers, thank you, mahalo, and incredible board members. So overall, throughout the region, there are 14 physical offices and locations that are part of the facility package. We have over 15 fleet vehicles, and like Ms. Cheetah in Guam said, we just got that brand new one to replace the one that was destroyed after Marwar. So those fleet vehicles include our emergency response vehicles as well, vehicles, trailers, and all of that. So there's a whole team of staff and volunteers that help around that. So it's an incredible team. One of the highlights that we ended our 2024 is what we called a facility refresh. We were blessed to have $268,000+ infused into facility upgrades, improvements around the region. So what that means is we're reinvesting back into the infrastructure that's going to help us serve our mission and back into the community and those that we serve. So everything with the facilities from plumbing, electrical, generators, roofs, sustainability improvements, really looking at all those different aspects. And it was really fantastic to see all of that energy and those improvements back into those facilities. So really happy to share that news and looking forward to FY25.
Thank you. Thank you so much, territories and our departments for sharing. We hope that you've learned a little bit about us and you can put a face to the name. So Matthew, if we can go to the next slide. Perfect. So, volunteers, you are our heart and our soul. You carry out 90% of the Red Cross mission, and your feedback is extremely important. Volunteers celebrating their Red Cross anniversaries have an opportunity to share your perspective by completing the volunteer satisfaction survey. Your comments are valuable, and it helps us to shape change. So each quarter, our plan is to look at the feedback, and we're putting together a volunteer experience committee that will be reviewing the confidential comments, and they'll be making recommendations on how we can shape change. So one change that has already been taken place is that as a result of your comments, there will be more training courses during the Pacific Island region time zone. So that's a big win for us. So please take the opportunity to complete your satisfaction survey when you get yours. Everyone will get it sometime throughout the year. Okay. All right. Next up, I'd like to call on Tony to say a few words. Tony?
Hello, and thank you again, Jolene. I just wanted to say just a quick update and a few other things. I wanted to give everyone an update on the CEO search. From what I understand, there are 2 internal candidates. I happen to be one of them, and there are 2 external candidates. And right now, they're going through what we call our due diligence, and we're making sure that we have, a good fit. We're starting to do some interviews right now. I've been through 2 now, and I know that there's going to be at least 2 more. So where we thought we might have this wrapped up by the middle of August, it may be a little bit longer. And again, they just want to make sure that the best person has been selected to make sure that they are leading this team. And it's something that we don't want to rush into. So I know it's been a little bit of time, and it's a good thing. So talking about change, I just wanted to let everyone know that we have 2 of our team members who will be moving on. Ambrose in Guam will be leaving the Red Cross effective, I believe, tomorrow will be his last day, and he's got a little bit of PTO and on the books that he's definitely going to take because he's earned it. But I wanted to say thank you, Ambrose, for everything that you've done. I know that you started back in 2009 as a volunteer, and I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a great ride. I'm sure just seeing some of the notes that you've shared on some of the great things that you've done. Know that you've made a difference, so thank you. And for those who haven't heard, Sean Miguel will be leaving us, and she's been scooped up by another organization, and we are so happy with the time that we had with her. Personally, I will tell you that she was the one that helped me figure out which was a board member and who was a board member emeritus and who was a community volunteer leader, and really just helped me keep everything straight. So Sean, thank you so much for everything that you've done. And we know we've got you for another week, and you're going to help us through this next board meeting next Thursday. But thank you so much to the 2 of you for the work that you have done. We are better because of you, so thank you. And then one last note, we are going to be doing these calls quarterly. It's really important for us to make sure that we are all on the same page as we move forward. And if there is anything that you'd like us to address, we have time, and it looks like we have a little bit of time right now. So if there are any questions, you can you can raise your hand. That way we can make sure we've got it kind of orderly, or you can put it in the chat. I know Molly's going to be monitoring the chat. So if there are any questions from the group, we'd love to hear them. And if I can't answer them, I will check with the Alakai, the leadership team. And if we can't come up to an answer, we will definitely circle back and make sure that we get that answer out to everyone. So the fun time happens now, questions and answers.
Go ahead, Cheetah.
You have to come off
An
mute, Cheetah.
observation.
There
And
we go.
can you hear me now? So I said
I
it's not a question. It's
Okay.
just an observation. But first, I'd like to acknowledge my board member, who is our first gentleman in Guam, who is in attendance, and among other Guam volunteers. But Tony, my statement is, I hope that the search committee for the new CEO for our region will take into consideration that you're already leading the region now. I mean, and that is a very, I think, important facet of this whole search. I hope they'll give that a lot of weight as they reach a decision. That's just my thought.
Cheetah, I will tell you that you're not the only one. Thank you so much, my friend.
But I was the first to say it.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you.
Okay, that's our wish, Tony.
Agreed.
All right, we have we got Dot. You have a question? You want to come off of mute?
Just like Cheetah, not so.
Oh, we can barely hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Just barely.
Barely.
But go ahead.
Right now.
Barely.
Okay, I'll try and speak as loud as I can. Not so much a question, but I just wanted to second what Cheetah about Tony.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Again, we are successful because we are successful. So a lot of people are trying to pin this one on me. I only take credit for the bad things. I will always share the credit for the good things. So I will always own the mistakes. I will always own the missteps, but the good things belong to everyone. So thank you.
Anybody else? Please don't be shy. We have all lines of service here to answer your question. And if you don't get your question answered today, or if you're shy, you can always shoot me an email. I will put my email address in the chat, and we'll get that answered for you as best as we can.
Well, Jaylene, I want to say that thank you so much to you for making this happen. I know that you don't really want us to single you out on this, but this was your idea and you brought it to fruition, and all the hard work that you did to make sure that everything was lined up. Thank you so very much. We are going to be so much better because we're all on the same page once a quarter and we can get together virtually. So thank you so very much, Jaylene.
No, thank you. And thank you all to all the lines of service. All right, so we'll give you some time back in your evening. Thank you so much to all of our volunteers for choosing the Red Cross, for sharing your talents and your skills and your time. We look forward to the next town hall meeting. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Log your hours.
Thank you.
Log your
Bye.
hours.